There are two major keys that affect what we do on our O-gauge railroad that we call the second-hand overland. The first is already in the name, second-hand. With the exception of one engine, a few pieces of track, and some buildings, everything else here is of the pre-loved variety. The other aspect is that our collection focuses on semi-scale or non-scale engines in rolling stock. As I pointed out in a previous video, there's a lot of variation to the size of semi-scale, but we've managed to identify what sort of stuff works well on our rails. Today, we're going to focus on the RailKing line from MTH and showcase things that have made them a favorite of ours. For starters, one of the things I've really liked about these has been the size. This is a common Lionel 6464 boxcar that you'll find in most starter sets. They're typically smaller, very lightweight, and have a few nice details without going too crazy. Most of these don't have sprung trucks, but there are still some that do. The lightweight nature means these feel kinda tinny and cheap. That does mean that smaller or weaker engines can haul long lines of these with ease. But now, let's grab this RailKing boxcar to compare. You can already tell the size is slightly larger. The construction is a bit more robust, and you can feel a weight difference. This one doesn't have sprung trucks, but it does seem like it's more common to find those on RailKing. I just happened to pick one that doesn't, I guess. There's some nice details all over the body, and the doors do feel more sturdy. It doesn't feel like they'll just slide open on accident. Overall, these live up to their tough and rugged slogan that their advertising suggests. For comparison, here's the 1/48 scale boxcar. You can tell it's still slightly larger right off the bat. The details are stunning with all separately applied rails and ladders. There's sprung trucks on this, and even a nice hidden coupler release. Like the RailKing we just looked at, the general construction is more robust, and it has about the same weight as that car too. The logo and printing is all very crisp, and it certainly feels like a higher end model. Even the interior has some level of detailing. If we bring back the semi-scale Lionel car, you can see the RailKing is right in the middle size-wise and detail-wise. Again, it's a great choice if you've got both semi-scale and scale-sized cars sharing the rails. And remember the nicer details of the scale car? I found another RailKing car that has sprung trucks and that neat hidden coupler release on it too. So in most cases, the RailKing cars are a step up from the usual Lionel semi-scale cars, but some of them even have features that are more in line with what you'd find on scale cars too. Most of them even have underbody details, like this one. It's important that I point out that not all RailKing boxcars are like this. They have more traditionally sized boxcars too. These are still nice, but the size is nearly identical to the smaller Lionel 6464 cars. So if you're looking for larger ones, you want to make note of the construction elements of the car itself. The cars aren't really labeled as such. The larger RailKing cars have a flat bottom going along underneath, whereas the more traditionally sized ones will have these parts that come down along the wheels. It can be hard to gauge size from photos by themselves, so I always look for visual cues like this to tell what I'm getting, especially if it's online. To recap on the main size differences, here's that scale car again, and here's the RailKing car. The scale size is definitely bigger, but only slightly. Even the length is the same, just not the width and the height. In contrast, here's that Lionel 6464 car next to the same scale size car. You can really tell from the length, height, and literally every other metric that this is a smaller car. It'll stand out when they're together. Yet another reason why I really like the MTH RailKing line. Being able to bridge the gap was helpful when our collection was starting out, but as it turns out, I've really enjoyed finding these RailKing cars. Every now and then these do show up in my local shops, but I've had much better luck finding them online with auction listings and with my friends at trains.com. They're actually pretty reasonable price-wise too. There's lots of variations for these, and I've managed to acquire quite a few without getting any repeats. They're also era-specific to what we typically run here because, unlike K-Line and Lionel and other cars, the build date that's printed on these is actually when the car would have been used. The others typically just print what year the toy model was made. It's a small detail, but it does make collecting these more fun for me, especially since I like to dig into historical goodies like that. I've also expanded from just collecting Union Pacific stuff to all sorts of road names. They're still mostly Midwestern and Western railroads that the UP would have crossed paths with anyways, but there are still a few East Coast gems sprinkled in. It's been fun exploring the variety that way. RailKing also made more than just robust boxcars. There's these nice double-door boxcars, these LCL containers, reefer cars, stock cars, and flat cars. I've even managed to find a nice caboose to finish it all off. I've said it before, these pair great with our engines here, especially with stuff from the Lionmaster line that I have come to adore. This big boy 4006 is hauling all 30 of the RailKing cars we've managed to find. Because of the extra weight of these cars, I can really feel a sense of power from this 4884 hauling these around as opposed to the more tinny and chuckable weight of the smaller stuff. They look right at home behind this engine, and I love using these together. If you're looking for these in stores or online, use those visual cues I mentioned to make sure you're getting what you want. There's always a good selection of these on trains.com, that's trains with a Z. And the search filters on their site make it easy to find stuff you want. You can also use my code DATAFIED at checkout to save $10 on your order of $50 or more. If you've already used that code but want to keep supporting our channel, use the link trains.com/DATAFIED to tell Scott who sent you. And if you've missed the news, I'm headed to the York Train Show in spring of 2024. I'm excited not only to see all the trains, but also to see lots of folks I've been connecting with here on DATAFIED and on our Instagram, The Secondhand Overland. Hope to see you at the show. As always, a big thank you to everyone who's been supporting our channel. Let me know down in the comments what you want to see next. Please like this video, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we'll see you on the next one. Or maybe I'll even see you at York.